we are back after night one of the NFL draft, and it was a lot of fun. If you missed the live stream, you should have popped out. It's on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. It was a lot of fun. We nailed our first 6 picks, and then after that, it went to complete chaos. We predicted no trades in the top 6, and we landed a lot of players to teams, just not at the right spots. But we'll get into it in this video. We're gonna grade each one of these picks. Excuse me, not trades. Any team that traded, that'll be included in a later video when I do team grades after the draft has concluded. And then we'll start churning out some more content, team-specific content, and stuff like that. So stay tuned to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and let's get into this video. So the first pick is Caleb Williams, obviously. There was really no way they could have screwed that up. Yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about here. You get a generational franchise quarterback. He's going to be the first 4,000-yard passer in franchise history. He's going to be the first 30-touchdown passer in franchise history. I think that this pick, I think you got one of the best quarterback prospects since Andrew Luck, since Trevor Lawrence. It gets an A+. So, now that being said, let's go to the next pick. The next pick is Jayden Daniels to the Washington Commanders at pick 2. Jayden Daniels was my QB3 in this class. I had Drake Maye a pretty sizable gap above Jayden Daniels. For various reasons, I think he's a better athlete. He's bigger. He's stronger. I think he has a bigger arm. I think he's just proven that he has the higher upside of the 2 prospects. I do think Daniels will be more ready to play now, but it's not about what you get now. It's about getting a franchise quarterback. It's about getting a quarterback who's going to be on the team, get a second contract, elevate the players around him. And I think Daniels could do that. There's just concerns I have personally, but if we're just grading this pick for the player and where they took him, it 100% gets an A. There's no doubt you get an A for this pick. You got your franchise quarterback. Now it's up to Cliff Kingsbury to make him better. You got, the GMs. Adam Peters did his job. He got Cliff Kingsbury, his quarterback. Now it's up to Cliff Kingsbury to not screw him up. The next pick, it was Drake Maye at pick 3. There was a lot of rumors of the Giants trying to get up to this pick, especially with the Vikings trying to get up to this pick. I think that the Giants did make a big push for this pick. And I think that if it was true that the Patriots wanted to move off this pick, they would have. I think the Patriots never wanted to move off this pick now that it's said and done and they took Drake Maye. You could be saying, obviously, that's stupid. But what I mean is, they were never open to trading the pick. That was all media narrative. And Elliott Wolf did say, they were going to listen to pick. They're going to listen to every call. But, I mean, how serious were they? I'm curious to know what the final offers were for Minnesota and from the Giants. Because I am a Giants fan. I wanted to get Drake Maye. But we didn't, and that's okay, because we'll talk about that pick later, but we got my other favorite player in the draft. But for the Patriots pick, you get your franchise quarterback, my QB2. The argument of you can't draft a quarterback without having the team in place, I don't agree with that at all, because if by the time you have a structured roster, you're not picking this high. I mean, look at how late the Vikings were picking, and they lost their quarterback halfway through the year. And they were able to win games with Josh Dobbs and, I forget, Nick Mullins last year. You're just not going to be picking high enough to get one of these elite prospects. So take him while you're here. There's no rule that says you have to start him right away. Build the team around him. You now effectively have another draft and offseason to put pieces around this kid before you even have to start him. This pick, without question, gets an A+. One of the other A+ in this draft. I think I only had 4 A+ grades, maybe 5. But the next pick, it was the Arizona Cardinals. There was rumors they were going to trade. I didn't buy those rumors. I thought there's no way. The only way they would have traded, in my opinion, is if they were able to trade back to 6 with the Giants to still get Malik Nabers or Marvin Harrison if the Chargers passed, and a first-round pick next year. That was the only way. But Arizona gets the best player, arguably the best player in the draft, for a humongous position of need, being that they traded Hollywood Brown. You like what you saw with Michael Wilson. You still have Greg Dortch to operate in the slot. But I don't think that they're done adding to this room. I would expect them to sign a veteran, maybe like Tyler Boyd, who's still out there. Unless he went to the Steelers. I don't think he did, but Yeah, I think this pick gets an A+. I mean, what else you want to say about this? I mean, you get a generational wide receiver prospect for your franchise quarterback, which is a position of need. You're not drafting for need. You're not drafting, and you're filling value and need at the same time. This is A+. So in the top 4, we've had 2 A+, 3 A+, and I said there was only 5. I think there's 6 in this video. The next pick is Joe Alt at pick 5. I tried to warn Chargers fans this was happening. You guys fought me tooth and nail and told me I was an idiot, that there was no way you were passing on Malik Nabers. I pleaded for you to listen. I pleaded to try to tell you that you were going to take an offensive lineman or trade down. You didn't listen. Unfortunately, I was right. I like Justin Herbert. I like explosive offenses. I would much rather see Malik Nabers or Odunze here than a lineman, but you guys also need a lineman, and you have to accept the fact that your head coach and offensive coordinator do not plan to throw the ball a ton. They're going to run the ball. You are going to be a run-first team. Like, you probably will see a better split of pass and run, a better pass-run split than what the Ravens had, because Justin Herbert's that talented. Like, you're obviously not going to completely take the ball out of his hands, and I think that Justin Herbert unquestionably is a better passer than Lamar. That's no slight to Lamar. But, I mean, you're going to be a run-first team. It just is what it is. It's what Jim Harbaugh has always done. It's what Greg Roman has always done. The one outlier year that Greg Roman had a pass-first offense, or a high-volume pass attack in Baltimore, was when J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both tore their ACLs. So they technically had to take it. But the Chargers essentially get a blue-chip prospect. The only thing I don't like about this pick, if I'm being completely honest, is you're taking a left tackle and moving him to right tackle, which isn't a huge deal in my opinion, but I really would have rather them try to trade down. Maybe you just trade down to 7 and take Taliese Fuaga or JC Latham if teams are that high on Latham. But I think this pick definitely gets a B+. Like, the Chargers are a better team than they were before the draft with this. You needed a right tackle. You needed help on the offensive line. And I keep saying right tackle because there's no way you're going to move Slater from left tackle to right tackle. So that's why you guys get a B+. Still a great pick. I like the pick. And then at pick 6, the New York Giants. All the smoke about J.J. McCarthy, which I said was preposterous, and it was stupid, and it was just trying to get value fall down the board. I do think there was serious consideration for JJ, but not at 6. I don't think they were ever actually considering JJ at 6. If they were, they would have taken him. But instead, they get the 3rd best player in the entire NFL draft at pick 6 for a huge position of need. And there are people and there are teams, it's been reported by multiple reputable people, that teams had Malik Nabers over Marvin Harrison Jr. as wide receiver 1. Joe Shane, I don't put any stock on this, but he came out and said Malik was always their guy. They did try to trade up for Drake May, but I'm curious if he really did have Malik Nabers over Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he did, but I'm not losing sleep over it. This is one of the last A+ of this draft. You get incredible value. You fill a huge need that you haven't had for 10 years in wide receiver, and it only took 6 years to get Daniel Jones a true wide receiver 1, which is crazy to me. But now we'll see. I mean, I think that the Giants may go back to the playoffs this year, but the NFC is going to be tough. That'll be for another video. We'll have every year I do 4 sleeper teams, and I'm pretty accurate. I've been batting 500 over 2 years, a total of 8 teams. I should have been 100% last year, but the Broncos benched Russell Wilson, and then Desmond Ridder was the worst quarterback in football. All he had to be was not the worst quarterback in football. But anyways, Giants get an A+. Pick 7. Titans, J.C. Latham. I didn't like this pick. I'm just gonna be honest. Not because I don't like J.C. Latham. I just think that he's not better than Olu Fashanu. And you're trying to evaluate Will Levis, right? So giving him Olu Fashanu, who arguably is the best pass protector in the entire class, in my opinion. He is the best pass protector in the entire class at left tackle, which is more important than right tackle. Would give you a better evaluation of Will Levis than J.C. Latham, who I think draws pretty good comparisons to Evan Neal, and we've seen how Evan Neal has turned out. He gets beat by speed rushers, and we saw J.C. Latham. I know it's just one clip, but J.C. Latham's highs are very high, and his lows are very low. And I mean, you could say that about any prospect. But, like, just look back at the Michigan game when he gets forklifted by a player who is half his size. I think there are legitimate concerns with J.C. Latham. I could be wrong. NFL circles seem to be much higher than consensus. And he was rumored to be in the top 5 conversation. So I don't hate this pick. You filled the need. You got decent value on it. I would have just rather preferred Olu Fashanu here, in my opinion. I think the Titans are a better team. I think that they're a better team, and they fill the position of need. Are you going to draft Latham to play left tackle when he's a natural right tackle is the question. And for me, like, I think that's a bad idea. I think you should have just took the true left tackle in Olu Fashanu, but we'll see. I mean, this signals to me that they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more than I thought. So with that being said, I'm going to give this pick, I'll give it a B-. I don't think it's a terrible pick, but again, I would have preferred to see, if we're evaluating Will Levis, we don't care about how great he is at handing the ball off. We want to see him throw the ball, and Olu Fashanu would have given you a better look at that. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but that just, from what I've watched, from my opinion, I think that Olu Fashanu would have given you the better evaluation of Will Levis at a more important position of left tackle than J.C. Latham. Pick number 8, the absolute stunner of the entire draft, Michael Penix. There was a quote from Tom Pelissero, and he said, I'm going to paraphrase this, but I saw it this morning. It was on Good Morning Football. He said, this isn't cheating on your wife. This is cheating on your wife while on the honeymoon. Apparently, Kirk Cousins didn't know this was happening until the pick was being put in. Like, he got the call while Atlanta was making the call. And I don't want to poo-poo on this pick so bad, because I do think Michael Penix is, this is way higher than I thought. I thought he was going to fall in the first round, so just being honest. I'm going to be honest, I don't hate the idea of going quarterback here, but why are you taking the oldest prospect? Why would you not take J.J. McCarthy, who's still available at this point in the draft? He's 21. He just turned 21. He would be 25 by his second contract. In 4 years, Michael Penix is going to be 28 years old by the time his rookie contract ends. I guess they were scared of being stuck in the Matt Ryan scenario again, where they just have no quarterback. But to take the oldest prospect, to me, is kind of just crazy. This is one of, if not the only, F. And unironically, this is the Atlanta Falcons colors. That was not intentional. I just ran out of colors on the little palette I was using, so I just had to get creative. Sorry, Falcons fans. I am sorry. Pick 9 is Odunze. This is a pick I mocked all season, and then the last mock, for whatever reason, I changed it to a trade. I think this is a great pick. It's great value. Some people had him as wide receiver 2 or 3 in the class, some people had him as the best wide receiver. People think he's the most polished prospect at the receiver position in the draft over Marvin Harrison. I've read that from some pretty reputable sources. And I think Odunze is the perfect complement in this offense, because they have field stretchers and Quinyon Allen, who's probably going to operate solely from the slot at this point in his career, and you're going to have DJ Moore as the flanker, but Odunze gives you that perimeter X. And like one comp I haven't seen for Odunze that I think this would be my comp if I gave him one, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know why that comp hasn't come out yet. He's as good of a route runner as Hopkins was, and he has that contested catch vertical ability. Like, it makes sense in my mind. The other comp I had was Mike Williams, but people see that as a negative. And I think that Odunze, people forget, like, when you talk, like, in my mind, comparing these players isn't always to their NFL finished product. Like, Mike Williams was a fantastic prospect coming out. I think he went 6th or 4th overall that year. But the Bears, with this pick, I think they get a big fat A. This is a great pick. You get a franchise quarterback, and then you get him a receiver who he's going to have for the next 5 years, who I would imagine this is a player who's going to be a perennial 1,200-yard receiver, somewhere in that, just like a steady Eddie, constant producing player, and he's a great locker room guy. I love this pick. I love this pick for the Bears. And I'm very happy they didn't trade down and take Byron Murphy like I thought. The next pick was a trade up with the Jets and the Vikings. The Vikings moved up one spot to secure J.J. McCarthy. And the thing that's crazy to me about this is I read that the Saints, the Raiders, and I think Seattle were trying to move up to 8 to take Penix. Or to 10 to take Penix. And he wasn't there. So how many teams had Michael Penix above J.J. McCarthy is my question. But for J.J. and for the Vikings, I think this is a fine pick. Like, you get your franchise quarterback. Everybody knows that, in my opinion, Minnesota is the best landing spot in the entirety of where everybody could have went. Like, no question. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Jordan Addison. You have a good offensive line. And I think Kevin O'Connell is one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. I'd probably tier him somewhere behind. I think it would go in, and I'm probably going to leave someone out, but Andy Reid, Mike McDaniel, or Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, Kevin O'Connell would be like in the same row, if that makes sense. But I think this is a fine pick for the Vikings. You get your franchise guy. He doesn't have to start right away. He's coming into a fantastic situation. I did just watch a video, though, from Mike Florio saying that the Vikings were trying to trade up to 5 for Malik Nabers. And if that's true, what implications does that have for Justin Jefferson? Like, were they trying to trade? I don't know. Like, I don't know how true that is, but it is fascinating if it is true. But anyways, Vikings, I think with the urgency of quarterback, like in an ideal world, you trade down and get JJ, but that wasn't going to happen. So with the urgency of like you really had your hand was kind of forced here if this was your guy, I'm giving this pick a B+. You didn't get aggressive. You gambled on not being aggressive, and it paid off. I thought the Vikings would come up to 8 for JJ. They ended up trading up to 10 for JJ. So I'm happy it all worked out. I'm happy they got the guy they wanted. I know they really wanted Maye. Everybody really wanted Maye, except for the Washington Commanders, and obviously the Chicago Bears. But yeah, I think this is a great pick. You get your franchise guy, and he's gonna be better than his talent is. And I don't mean that as a negative. It's just look at like players like Tua and Brock Purdy when they're in great systems. This is my favorite pick of the entire first round, I think, right here with the Jets, because there was so much banter about Woody Johnson wanting Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze, and I was banging the table to not do it, to take Fuaga or to take Fashanu if Fashanu made it, because Fashanu is the most disrespected player in this draft, for one. For two, Tyron Smith is missing games this year. It's going to happen. For three, there's some strength concerns, which I don't really buy, but this gives you time to not have to start Fashanu right away and develop him for a year. This is a franchise left, like the Jets got their franchise left tackle for free, in my mind. And you know that when Tyron Smith misses games, Fashanu's going to come in right away, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be standing upright and winning games. It's like, this was one of my favorite picks. So I think there's 7 A+. I forgot about this pick. But this was my favorite, like, top 3 favorite picks of the entire draft was Olu Fashanu to the Jets. Favorite pick was probably Drake Maye to the Pats, Malik Nabers to the Giants, and then Olu. I think those are my 3 favorite picks so far. Pick 12, stunner. The Broncos stick and take Bo Nix. I don't know how many teams were jockeying for Bo Nix, which makes this hard to grade. Because if they had inside info that like the Raiders take him if he falls, which seems like the case, to be honest with you, then kind of similar to the Vikings, your hand is kind of forced here. However, I think this is so rich for Bo Nix. Older prospect, which isn't the end of the world, but like, I think he would have fallen. I'm not sure what his ceiling is. I think I'm higher on Bo Nix than a lot of people too. Like, if you go back and watch the Auburn tape, he is an athlete. Like, he could make dynamic plays with his legs. Sean Payton's not looking for that, but he has that upside. I think the ceiling with Bo Nix is Sean Payton's offense and like what Sean Payton puts around him, because I think Bo Nix is going to be a player where he's as good as his surroundings. He's as good as the contracts around him. So I think this pick, like, to be honest with you, like, just with where the Broncos are at, because here's the other thing, and I made this argument in a video, like, you're still paying Russell Wilson a lot of money. So, an exuberant amount of money, if you will. That's what my brain was trying to say. You're not going to be able to capitalize on this contract. Like, you're still paying Russell Wilson for 2 years. You're not capitalizing on this. So, why not just take a player like Brock Bowers or Jared Verse or like someone you know is... Dallas Turner was still even on the board. Like, I haven't even checked on my buddy, and he's probably... I hope he's okay. But, my Broncos buddy, but... I think this is just like a C+ pick. Just given, like, the parameters of, like... He's going to be as good as the offense around him. He's going to be as good as the skill position players around him. You're not going to capitalize on the rookie contract because of Russell Wilson. You don't have capital to keep building. You don't have a second-round pick this year. I think this was a forced pick, and I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. Next pick. This was one of the most shocking picks of the draft. Brock Bowers at 13. I'm a huge Michael Mayer fan, and I'm pretty sure that the Raiders traded up for Mayer last year. I would have gone Fuaga, just understanding what type of offense they're looking to run, and their tackle play is kind of okay. At the moment, they lost Jermaine Illuminor, so Fuaga comes right in at right tackle, and he's going to be able to just... Someone said he never lost a run blocking rep in college, and I could see it. Like, he's so dominant. I guess they're just going to want to run a lot of 12 personnel, and maybe they thought that Bowers makes them more explosive without having to force a receiver here, because I do think that, like, if they went BTJ here, it would have been a little bit high. I've mocked him this high before. But he is really raw at the end of the day. Like, it's exciting to talk about receivers, but BTJ is really raw, and Brock Bowers is going to, like, he's one of the best players in the draft. So I don't hate this pick. I really don't hate this pick. I think this pick is a big, solid B. The Raiders are better, and, like, you could line up, you could kind of line up Bowers how the Bills use Kincaid, as a big slot type player, and I think it'll be fine. You have Devontae Adams, who I still think is like a top 3 receiver in the NFL. He gets pooped on all the time. Or not pooped on, but forgotten about all the time. I like Minshew, and I'm a big fan of Zamir White, partially because he's on my fantasy team, or a bunch of my dynasty teams, but that's okay. We don't have to talk about that. Pick 14 is the Saints. They go with Taliese Fuaga. I love this pick. I think this was ideal for them. Trevor Penning isn't it, and Ryan Ramczyk may have to retire. You're probably going to want to... I would be shocked, or I would be interested to see if Alvin Kamara gets traded before tomorrow is over, or today is over, because this video will be out today. But yeah, I don't think there's too much to talk about here. The Saints are just in limbo. I think this is... But the Saints are better. Like, this pick makes them a better team. This pick also gets a B. Indianapolis Colts... I have been championing Latu, saying, like, if there's no medical concerns, he's a top 10 pick, like, not even close. And he ended up being the first edge rusher, first defensive player off the board. And then we saw a nice run of them go in the next 3 picks. But the Colts need pass rush. I really thought they would go corner here with who was still available. But they end up going Latu. And I think Laiatu is going to be the biggest impact edge rusher right away in this class. I think he's just so much farther advanced than everybody else with pass rush moves, counter moves, plan of attack. He just has... The whole tape is there. It's just, it's just the medicals. So we'll see how this turns out. I'm a huge fan of this pick. This pick, for me, gets an A-. I think if you're going to gamble on the first defensive player, this is the best player to take a shot on, in my opinion. Just because there's not really any question marks of play. It's just medicals. And more often than not, those do seem to work out. The next pick was Byron Murphy, this is the next pick I predicted right or correctly after the first 6. Byron Murphy. I think this is just a Mike McDonald pick. He wanted his Justin Matabuke, and he got it. I think you put him with Leonard Williams on a pretty banged up, pretty old defensive front. I thought we could see Dallas Turner here. I don't think anybody expected Dallas Turner to make it this far. I did predict him to drop in my last predicted mock, but not for these reasons. Like, I thought Verse would go at 8, and then he would just free fall because of and I had the Rams trading up for Latu. So I did have Turner end up being the third edge off the board, which I correctly predicted. But I didn't think that well, I did have the Seahawks pass on him. But I think Murphy is with how interior defensive linemen have become so valuable with like players like Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, Aaron Donald, Quinyon Williams. I think, and Justin Madubuike. Speaking of, I think Mike McDonald has been talked in the same light of like he is like the cutting edge of defensive minds in the NFL, and I think he knows what he's doing. I think he has a perfect plan for what he wants to do and how he wants to accomplish it. And taking Byron Murphy here, fantastic start, because we just saw Madubuike get paid, Madubuike get paid. I don't know if he was the highest paid defensive lineman, but he is up there. And for that reason, this pick gets an A-. One thing, A-. Yeah, I don't really hate anything about this pick. It probably could be an A, but I'm going to give it an A- because I'm not sure if passing on Dallas Turner was the right move. That's the only reason. Or, yeah, that's pretty much the only reason. Next pick is Dallas Turner here to the Vikings. They traded up for him. Thought it was a fantastically aggressive move. Very well done by the Vikings. They made a very educated gamble sitting for JJ. And they made an aggressive move to come get Dallas Turner. This could be the third time we see teams go back-to-back offensive defensive rookie of the year. We had the Jets in 2021. We had the Texans in 2020. Or I'm sorry, the Jets in 2022, the Texans in 2023, and then maybe the Vikings go in 2024. I think the Falcons. Well, I'll talk about that. I was gonna say something about Arizona, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Dallas Turner is widely regarded as the best edge rusher, best defensive player in the draft. A lot of people had him pegged at 8. I had him pegged at 8 all the way up until the end. And then I had him fall, which he did, and I correctly predicted him being the third edge off the board. But I think this pick, dude, this is an A. This is very close to being an A+. I just don't... Yeah, I don't see any downside to this. I'm just curious what was lost in the 2 moves trading up. That doesn't really factor into this pick, but this is definitely an A. Like, for sure an A. They got... Or if Dallas Turner is the best defensive player in this class, it's an A+. Like, no doubt. I just think that there's a good chance he takes a few years to develop. Not like he's this raw prospect that needs all this work, but like some people think he has higher upside. Some people at Alabama think he has higher upside than Will Anderson, which if that's the case is an A+. But I want to see it. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm kind of picky with my A+ grades. If I wasn't, there would be more of them. But I think the picks that I've given A+ to are correct. They're just the perfect move, perfect value, perfect need. No questions about the player. But this is a talented edge class. And I'm saying I correctly predicted this as if Jared Verse didn't fall, which he did. So I'm an idiot for saying that for 10 minutes now. This is the second. I did not correctly predict that. This is the second edge off the board. But anyways, Amarius Mims at pick 18. I love this pick. Amarius Mims, I'm so high on Amarius Mims. I think he was better. I would have had him over JC Latham. I have him over a lot of players. He's my tackle 4, though. I have him behind Alt, Olu, Fuaga is my order, and then Mims. But you had to make the pick. Like, it was this, or I thought maybe there was a brief moment where I thought it'd be Johnny Newton or Quinyon. But Joe Burrow's been hurt year in and year out. He's got to stay upright. Amarius Mims is going to help you in the run game and develop as a pass protector. He's a natural right tackle. Dominant when he plays. He just doesn't play all the time because he gets hurt some. But dominant player when he plays. I love this pick. This pick, for me, gets an A-. I think this is a great pick. The next pick, Jared Verse to the Rams. I thought that the Rams had to go defensive line, just because from what I watched that Detroit wildcard game, like they could not move Jared Goff at all, and you're not going to beat a team like or quarterback like Brock Purdy, who's in your division. You're not going to beat a player like Geno Smith or You're not going to beat Jared Goff unless you can get them off platform. And losing Aaron Donald, like, you have to beef up this interior defensive line, or this defensive line, excuse me. And then you hope Kobe Turner takes a step. I'll be interested to see what they do in the next round. I forget if they have a second or not, but I did like this pick a lot. I think the picks here were Johnny Newton or Jared Verse or Quinyon, because they do need corner help. But taking who people have regarded as the best edge in the class, it's a good pick. I mean, it's a good pick at pick 19. It's great value. A-. It's A- grade for the Rams. Could be an A. Next pick is the Steelers. I hate this pick. Just going to be honest. And it's not... We talked about this on the stream last night. It's not that I hate why they took Fautanu. And there's one thing that could change my mind on this. So, from the mocks I've done, Steelers fans have enlightened me to the fact that they plan on moving Broderick Jones back to left tackle. If that was the case, there's still some right tackles on the board, I think. Yeah, like Tyler Guyton's still here. JPJ is still here. You need center help. This, to me, tells me you're keeping Fautanu. You're putting Fautanu at left tackle. And you're keeping Broderick Jones at right tackle. And if Broderick Jones played well last year at right tackle, this is a different story. But he didn't play well last year at right tackle. So ideally, you probably want to move him back to left tackle and let him just stay there. So unless that plan is still the same, and they're going to move Broderick Jones to left tackle and take Fuaga to play left guard, then I like this pick a lot more. But in my mind, they're drafting Fuaga as Fautanu. I think I said Fuaga that whole time, but Fautanu. As a left, if they're drafting him to play left tackle, I think he's going to be a great left tackle. I just think you're screwing over Broderick Jones, who you traded up for last year. This pick, a lot of room to change, but the safe way to grade this, in my opinion, is C+. And it's not because I hate Fautanu. It's because I don't know the impact of this has on your roster if you're going to do it the right way or the wrong way. In my opinion, and who cares about my opinion? It could be wrong, but like, you're screwing over Broderick Jones if you keep him at right tackle, is the way I look at this. But next pick was Chop Robinson. I have been saying that the Dolphins should go edge here because you got to understand, like, yeah, your offensive line is not great, but Mike McDaniels is so good at scheming, like his offensive scheme, that Tua still threw for the most passing yards in the league last year with a bad offensive line. Like, the ball comes out so quick that, like, this is the same thing with Tom Brady when Tom Brady was playing at Tampa Bay and at the tail end of New England. Even though the offensive line was regressing and getting old, the ball was coming out so fast that it protected the offensive line. And I think that that's how McDaniels has designed that offense with the speed he's put in it. And the limitations to Tua, like, your edge room is bad. It got gutted, and your only stable rock in that room in Jalen Phillips tore his Achilles. You have no edge rushers right now. So, like, I'm a big Chop guy. I think this is appropriate for Chop to go. I think he should have gone probably. This is the ceiling of where he should have gone, and then, like, I think he should have went first round. So maybe, like, to Detroit at 29 or 28 if they stayed there. But I give this pick a B+, man. Or I'm sorry, a B. Because Chop is a project. But I'm a huge fan of Chop Robinson. I believe in the upside. I think he's going to get there. And Miami definitely needed edge help. Bad. But with that, to the next pick we go. Quinyon Mitchell. I hate this as a Giants fan, but this was like a slam dunk home run best case scenario for the Eagles night. They didn't have to trade up, and they got someone who I think is a top 10 pick in a lot of other years. This class was just so loaded at the top with tackle, quarterback, wide receiver that talent is falling. I mean, look who's left to go into the second round. You have players like Cooper DeJean, Koy McKinstry, Johnny Newton even, JPJ all fell to the second round. And then Quinyon was just sitting there, and the Eagles at a huge position of need in a win-now year get the best corner in the entire class. So, with that, as unfortunate as this is for my Giants, A+. This is the last A+ grade I got to give. This was such a good pick. Such a good pick, and I hate every bit of that. But unbiased, this is an A+. This is a home run pick. This is such a good pick. Because I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to have a lights out year. Like, I think he's going to have a crazy, crazy year. Partially because I was high on him early in the process when people were like, Quinyon Mitchell to the Eagles? That's a terrible pick. Why would we take a project corner? Here we are. First corner off the board and potential top 10 pick in other years. The next pick, from Cleveland to Houston to Minnesota to Jacksonville. The Jaguars get Brian Thomas Jr. I love this pick. I don't really... I believe in the upside of Brian Thomas, but he is a gamble. But this is like... The Jaguars traded back and still got like a potential dominant wide receiver one. He's going to need a lot of work. His game needs a lot of polish, but it's there. He's been playing football for like a few years in the grand scheme of things. I think he started his junior year of high school. He started playing football, and here he is. I don't remember if he's an early declare or not, but first-round pick. I believe in the upside of Brian Thomas Jr., and I love that he went to Jacksonville because this is exactly what they need in this offense. But this pick, being that they traded back and got this guy, this is an A- pick. Because it would be an A if Brian Thomas was a better finished product right now. But the floor for him is pretty low. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Just given, like looking at the analytics of things in the film, like, his route tree needs a lot of work. He's good at what he's good at, and he's great at what he's great at. But, like, he's dominant at the catch point. He is a field stretcher. His stats could have been better if Malik Nabers did not play. And if Jayden Daniels was better at reading the entire field. So, this might be an A+ pick when, in the grand scheme of things when it's said and done. But for right now, because I'm playing the floor and I'm playing the ceiling, it's an A-. But this also should have been an A+ pick. But it's not. I think this is another home run type pick. The Lions get aggressive. Good. We're seeing that good franchises are aggressive. And good franchises do not reach, which gives me hope for the Giants because they did not reach for a quarterback at 6. Side note. But the Lions, they know they have need at corner. They know value is falling down the board, and they get in front of a division rival to take this guy, who they probably had as the number 1 pick on their big board. Talking about the Packers, of the players left. And actually, I'm changing it on the fly, A+, because I think Terrion Arnold, there's a big case to be made. He's the best corner in the class. And the Lions desperately need a corner. And this is a potential lockdown corner one. I mean, this is like to snub the Packers, a division rival. You traded up to get him. You just went to the NFC Championship. This is what you need to get you over the hump. Good teams that make it deep in the playoffs have good corners. They all have corner depth. And Terrion Arnold to be your corner one, like, such a good pick. Such a good pick. Pick 25 is Packers. I think that this was a good pick because I'm a big Jordan Morgan fan, but I question the value of it. And I also question if this was a panic pick. Because the Packers, I said it on the stream, like, good organizations don't change things if it's with the mentality of, like, it's not broke, don't fix it. And Jordan Morgan, to me, like, was a top-end second-round guy, and the Packers never take offensive line in the first round. And I wonder if they panicked with this pick because they got leapt by the Lions to take Terrion Arnold. Panic picks happen. They happen all the time. But knowing the Packers, they'll be fine. This will be a good pick. But for because of the circumstances, I give this a B. Tampa Bay Buccaneers here go Graham Barton. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit because this video is going a lot longer than I thought it would. Graham Barton, I was really high on Graham Barton. I thought he could go as high as 20 to the Steelers. They get him here at pick 26. This is one of my safe picks of the draft, like one of my safe prospect where if I had to draft them, I would not lose sleep about it. I know my team is better because I have this player now, regardless of position. And Graham Barton here, this is at a huge position of need. Like that, the interior of that offensive line is bad, and they need to keep Baker on time, on rhythm. They need to protect him. This is an A- pick. I don't care what anybody says about drafting a guard high in the first round or in the first round. This is a fantastic pick. Then going over to the Cardinals. Oh, God. I forgot about this. I don't know, man. I think you're playing the upside with this pick, but I didn't like this pick. I didn't like this pick. I would have taken Johnny Newton here. The interior of your defensive line is so bad. And I think that the concern, I guess you have concerns he doesn't make it to the second round, but there's still players out there like Chris Braswell, Adisa Isaac, Marshawn Nealon. There are players. I don't think you had to make this pick. I think Johnny Newton would have been, unless you're higher on Brandon Fisk and you know he's going to be there, or Chris Jenkins, and you think Darius Robinson at his ceiling is a top 15 edge rusher, then yeah, I guess it makes sense, but I don't think he's proven or flashed that upside even. So this pick gets a B-. I don't hate it because your defense needs players bad, but I would have taken Johnny Newton over Darius Robinson. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. Pick 28 is Xavier Worthy, and I actually mocked him at pick 27 with the Cardinals. And people said there's no way the Chiefs trade up for Xavier Worthy when he's going to fall to them. And here we are. Your boy was right yet again. Yet again. Your boy was right yet again. Called it on stream. Everybody said A.D. Mitchell. We had a poll. They voted A.D. Mitchell. I said it's going to be Xavier Worthy. Why not? Like, think about the team. You have Patrick Mahomes, and you're giving him the fastest receiver who is a good route runner. He's not John Ross. Xavier Worthy can run routes. He can run routes. He runs limited routes, but he's good at all the routes he runs, and I think he's a better route runner than A.D. Mitchell. Period. I think Xavier Worthy is better than A.D. Mitchell. Period. It's not an argument. I think this pick, just with where the Chiefs are at, I give it an A- because I don't think Xavier Worthy will ever be a 1, but he will be a very, very like Devontae Smith type player. I think Devontae Smith is a good. He's not as polished as Devontae Smith, so don't hear what I'm not saying. But like his ceiling would be Devontae Smith, is what I'm saying. Who's a very high end 2, low end 1, which is what I could see Xavier Worthy becoming with good coaching. Next pick was Dallas. They get Tyler Guyton in a trade back. I think that this is. I had 2 or 3, probably 3 ideal landing spots for Tyler Guyton, and this was one of them. It was Philadelphia, Dallas, and Baltimore. And the Cowboys trading back and getting Guyton, who they have had shown. Dallas has shown they could develop offensive line talent. And Guyton has shown that he is one of the most raw but highest upside tackles in this draft. And I think you give him to Dallas, good things are going to happen. This is an A- pick. Nate Wiggins to the Ravens. I actually don't like this pick. I think I was peeing when this pick was happening. He's just so small. Like he's so skinny. And look at what happened to Emmanuel Forbes last year. Like these light corners, like some of them work, but I don't know about this pick. I would have tried to trade out. I don't know if they did, but Nate Wiggins, the talent's there. I know Bengals really high on Nate Wiggins. The talent is there. I just worry about the size. Like him weighing in at the combine was bad. I think he weighed in at 172, which is so small. Corner was a position of need, and I guess there was no really tackles left on the board. I probably would have gone Ladd McConkey, just because I'm a big Ladd McConkey fan. I'm sorry, that's not the right pick. Not a B-. The Ravens get a C+. Not a huge fan of this pick. Okay. Next pick. Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers. I love Ricky Pearsall. And I had him go as high as like pick 35 in my 2-rounder. I forget where I had him go. I think he went to the Titans. Ricky Pearsall is a dog. He can run every route. He is a gritty player. Physical run blocker. And I think that if this tells me Brandon Ayuk is getting traded tomorrow, if I'm being honest. Or Debo. This is a very interesting pick, but I trust Kyle Shanahan enough to know that this pick is going to work out. But I still have to be honest. I'm going to give it a B. And that's a high grade. Like this, I think a lot of people are going to have this as like a C- or a D. Like I know Ricky Pearsall is going to be good. Like especially in that offense. But I wonder how early, like when the next team had Ricky Pearsall on their board. And then the shock of the night, which I really wanted to predict, but I just didn't, was Carolina trading up into the first, and they traded up for Xavier Legette. And I have been vocal on Twitter and like on the stream last night. I am cautiously optimistic about Xavier Legette because he has to be in the analytics world, which I don't trust everything with analytics, but he has to be such an extreme outlier for him to hit. And I wonder if the Panthers bid against themselves for this pick. He's had 1 year of production, like one solid year where he popped off in a lot of metrics that matter. Yards per route run. I think he had the best yards per route run against man of any receiver in the draft this year. But he had 1 year of production. Like, it came out of nowhere, exploded. Could have been scheme, could have been quarterback play. I don't know. You hope that this is like him catching stride and he continues this trend. Maybe like DK Metcalf type outlier, which is in the realm of possibilities. I just wonder if the Panthers bid against themselves. I know Daniel Jeremiah's last mock, he had the Patriots trade into pick 32 for Xavier Legette. So I wonder if the Patriots were there lurking at 34, that they felt like they had, but still weird. But anyways, this pick for me, it gets a B-. I'm not the biggest Legette fan. I believe in the ceiling, but it's going to be a huge outlier. And I just wonder if they had to trade into the first to get him. But anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for this video. Team grades will be out after the draft. But thank you for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.